D-Day is here. Voting is now over. The big fight for Delhi is also now over. All that's left is the counting that will happen at the end of this week. But already this is going to be a really, really exciting, significant and watershed election. And if there's one indication of that, it is in the dramatic voter turnouts. Delhi, where, sometimes you assume that urbanites care less about democracy, they're not engaged with the voting. Let's look at, we're going to bring you those numbers up. Let's look at the fact that it has been a record voter turnout, over 60% and possibly even climbing higher. And there are constituencies, there are parts of Delhi, in fact, Sheila Dikshit's own constituency, New Delhi, where in 2008 the voter turnout was 48%. This time it has been 74%. RK Puram last time was 43%, this time 80.5%. And in GK1, 47% the last time, and this time 79%. Does this record voter turnout mean that the winds of change are blowing in Delhi? And also taking a look now at the national picture. We will have the results of the 5 states by the end of the week. How have these assembly elections gone? Which way is the wind blowing? And what does it indicate about the national mood? Are the results of these elections going to be a referendum on the two big national leaders of the two national parties, Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi, and the party that has really cleared the pitch and could be the game changer of the election in Delhi, the Aam Aadmi Party? Is it going to change the way we understand politics, and whether Congress and the BJP in too much of a hurry to write them off? Let's introduce our guests. With me in the studio, Nirmala Sitharaman, senior leader of the BJP. Joining me now, Yogendra Yadav, well-known psephologist, now of course a leader with the Aam Aadmi Party. We're also joined by KC Tyagi, senior leader of the Janata Dal United, and we'll be joined by Randeep Surjewala of the Congress shortly. Yogendra Yadav, I will start with you. I will start with you by asking you a question that I want you to answer without wearing your Aam Aadmi topi. And that is, what do you make of the high voter turnout, the staggeringly high voter turnout in Delhi? It's a record turnout and it says something, or does it not?
Since you want me to answer this question not merely as a politician, then I must point out that there are two reasons for that. One is a technical reason. Over the last few elections, the voters list have been corrected. So the denominator, which used to be artificially inflated, has now become smaller, as a result of which almost every state is breaking records. This has happened in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, everywhere. So this part of that is simply that. But the other part, I think, is clearly some rise in popular enthusiasm, which was so palpable on the streets of Delhi in the last few days and today itself. There certainly is greater enthusiasm. A bit of participatory spirit has come back to democracy. And usually these participatory upsurge is associated with some dramatic results. This doesn't always happen.
Yes.
But usually such a high turnout is seen to be not a good sign for the ruling party. And my party colleagues will take, of course, a lot of heart and certainly credit. But then there's no point in, it's simply not true that from turnout figures alone you can predict who's going to win. But I do take some heart from it. I do take, this increases my hopes. And just makes me so much happy that Delhi has shed its image of apathetic city, indifferent place, and people have come out in such large numbers. And given the fact that there still are discrepancies in Delhi's electoral rolls, so whatever the number, 65 or whatever the actual number, is not 65 out of 100. In all fairness, it's 65 out of 80.
Yes.
And that makes it truly an extraordinary turnout. I would salute the people of Delhi.
I think we should all be very proud as Delhiwalas today, because we have bust that stereotype that in urban parts of the country people are not engaged with democracy. We've got Randeep Surjewala of the Congress and Sunil Alagh, an independent strategy consultant, also joining us in the panel, but I'll take it first to Nirmala Sitharaman. The import and the impact of these elections. One, as Yogendra has explained, there is a greater enthusiasm, there is a greater participation. It could mean a change, it needn't mean a change, because there are other states also where there are very popular chief ministers, some of them from the BJP. They have also seen pretty decent turnouts. So let's not read necessarily too much political conclusion into the turnout, staggeringly high though it is. My question is this a referendum on the national mood? And I ask this because the BJP has been somewhat guarded in saying that it is. When I put this to both Sushma Swaraj and Arun Jaitley, they said, well, partly yes and partly no. But when Narendra Modi has in a sense been the face of the BJP campaign, even in Delhi, even more so than Harshvardhan, would you say that the result would be some sort of referendum on him and Rahul Gandhi?
No, I don't think it's a referendum at all.
On either of them?
On either of them. I think state elections are fought on issues which are overpoweringly states exclusive area. But Delhi being Delhi, with majority of their, I won't say majority, but with important issues being handled by the central government, many of the issues do find a very thin dividing line. But I would think the state issues dominate, and because both the parties ruling the center and the state in Delhi are Congress, and because Delhi is Delhi also for India,
the political
there is
capital, the
political
capital, yeah.
And also the baggage of belonging to the same party will have to be borne by this Chief Minister, Sheila ji.
So you're saying Delhi feels the national mood or the impact of the national mood more than the other states. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Naturally. But I would still think the performance of the Congress government in Delhi is what will be the deciding factor, and in that the voter turnout, yes, I agree with the technical details which Yogendra says, which we felt in Gujarat too, because of the election commission also making it a point to canvass, saying please come and vote, you have to come and perform your democratic duty and so on. Voter turnout is influenced by several factors. But the fact remains that you're right in saying we can't infer based on the turnout.
But may I ask you a question?
But clearly here, state issues dominate. I will not deny the influence of Modi ji or Rahul ji of the Congress.
If the BJP wins in Delhi, and you know the advertisements that we all woke up to in the newspapers this morning, they had a towering Narendra Modi standing with Harshvardhan, but it was really Modi who was the towering figure, at least visually looking at it as a person who's...
Understandably, because he's a prime ministerial candidate, and
let's bring up that image. In fact, I want to bring up that image of Mr. Modi standing with Mr. Harshvardhan. My question is this, Nirmala Sitharaman, if the BJP wins in Delhi, will it be Mr. Harshvardhan's victory? Will it be Narendra Modi's victory?
It will be the BJP's victory, where all our leaders have contributed.
That's a politically correct answer. Whose victory would it be? Look at that figure. I mean, it's Narendra Modi towering over Harshvardhan.
He's a prime ministerial candidate, and Dr. Harshvardhan is our chief minister now.
Well, Yogendra Yadav, before I get the Congress in, I'd like to ask you a question. One of the things that that your party did very differently this time was to actually put in the public domain your internal surveys. Arvind Kejriwal has been very specific in interviews.
Hello?
Arvind, Tyagiji, 1 minute. Arvind Kejriwal has been very specific, Yogendra Yadav, with the number of seats he says he's going to win. He said 47 in an interview to me. Your internal survey also showed that more than 30% of those who are voting for the Aam Aadmi this time, according to your survey, want to vote for Narendra Modi in the general elections. How did you, what political sense did you make of this, these numbers?
I think the figure has been misread. The whole point of that figure is different. It was being claimed by the BJP that because Narendra Modi's popularity is going up, it would get transferred to Mr. Harshvardhan and would translate into a vote for BJP, even if the citizen did not feel enthused by the kind of things Delhi's BJP does. That's why we asked that question in our poll. We are not interested in what would happen in Delhi in 2014. That was not our point. And what we discovered was this. Number one, it is true that Mr. Modi is the most popular prime ministerial choice in Delhi. His ratings have actually increased. There is no doubt about it.
Okay.
The real point, however, was that it was not getting transferred to Mr. Harshvardhan. More than 1/3 of the voters who wanted Mr. Modi as the prime minister did not prefer Mr. Harshvardhan. And for us, even more importantly, it was not getting translated into BJP vote for BJP in the assembly election. So our inference from that was that the hardcore RSS, hardcore traditional BJP voter was of course with BJP. They were emboldened, strengthened. But the new vote, the new enthusiasm that Mr. Modi had generated, that was not getting transferred onto BJP in Delhi. That was our conclusion, but now that conclusion would be tested, so there is no need for me to labor that point very much.
Okay, before Randeep Surjewala comes in, just a brief comment from you, Nirmala Sitharaman, on the BJP's description of the Aam Aadmi as the B team of the Congress. It was said again and again. Do you still stand by that?
Absolutely.
Because the Aam Aadmi Party, if you see the kind of constituencies in which there has been a popularity for them, at least my observing this on the campaign trail, it has been some of the traditional voters of the Congress. So why have you stuck to this description? Why do you call them the B team of the Congress?
Because many of the things that they were doing, very clearly, even now, the explanations and the allegations or the narrative were all stacked up against the BJP, and you would hardly hear them say anything about the Congress, in spite of the rampant corruption.
Arvind Kejriwal and Sheila Dikshit were at loggerheads constantly.
Well, you can't obviously completely ignore, can you? But the proportion of allegations and when we are sitting in the opposition was much more for us rather than a word of, you know,
Yogendra ji, very quickly, because the others are waiting. Very quickly, Yogendra ji.
This is extraordinary, Nirmala ji. The election is over now. We don't need to do those kind of things. I mean, the whole the whole campaign of the Aam Aadmi Party began by targeting Sheila Dikshit.
Yeah.
Some people said unfairly. The whole point was that we were targeting Congress, Congress, Congress. And who has challenged the Congress in the Jhuggi Jhopris of Delhi?
Yeah.
Who has challenged Congress among the Dalits and Muslims? I mean, this is... I think the election is over. We can leave the rhetoric part of it out.
My own feeling is the Aam Aadmi Party is going to hurt the Congress much more, Yogendra, than it's going to hurt the BJP, because the kind of voters that you've been picking up have traditionally been, a number of them have been Congress voters. Randeep Surjewala, let's bring you in.
Just before that one line.
Okay, one line. Okay.
To prove that I have not said anything without basis, even Sheila Dikshit herself, in the last interview, probably to NDTV, was inclined to say that I wouldn't even mind having an alliance with the AAP.
Okay, that she took back. Then after that, Randeep Surjewala, here's the question for the Congress. Watching Delhi in particular, it's been very odd to contrast the BJP campaign with the Congress campaign. You have the BJP campaign where not just Narendra Modi, but the entire pantheon of the BJP leadership has come out. Sheila Dikshit looks like she's been fighting a solo battle. And once or twice when Rahul Gandhi did come out, he couldn't get the numbers. To that extent, would you accept that there is a national interpretation that will come in the results of these elections? Because we remember that Sheila Dikshit had to tell people, please wait, please listen to Rahul Gandhi before you go. So can you escape the fact that whatever happens will also be seen as some sort of statement on Rahul Gandhi's capacity to draw crowds, on Rahul Gandhi's capacity to energize the campaign?
Barkha, I think almost all of your panelists agree on one issue, that state elections are not a referendum onto the national scenario at all. That same rule applies per se in Delhi also.
So if you do well, Randeep, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but if you do well, you will credit Sheila Dikshit and not Rahul Gandhi. If assembly elections are separate, if you do well in Delhi, if Sheila Dikshit manages the miraculous, and it will be miraculous if she wins another time, she'll be a 4 times chief minister. If she wins, it will be to her credit, not Rahul Gandhi's. That's what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, let me complete myself.
Yeah.
I've heard you patiently.
Yeah.
Barkha, state elections are fought, assembly level elections are always fought on assembly level issues, on state level issues, on the issues of leadership and performance of a sitting government in the state. To say that they are completely devoid of any national scenario interference perhaps would be too much, but largely they are fought on state level issues and state level leadership. To say that the leadership, national leadership of the Congress has no role in it, perhaps would be premature and would not be fair to say. Same would perhaps also be true for BJP's national leadership. The national leadership chips in terms of issues that are available for the entire country and are affecting the polity. But state elections are governed by local state issues, and it would be as true for Delhi. And I'm extremely confident Mrs. Sheila Dikshit and the Congress party has been able to pull off these miracles 3 times earlier, contrary to popular perceptions and poll surveys. She's going to do it again.
Yogendra ji, before I get KC Tyagi in, do you accept the formulation by the BJP and the Congress that the results of these state elections are not a referendum on Narendra Modi, they're not a referendum on Rahul Gandhi, or will they in a sense set the stage for the national mood?
In one sense, they have a very fair point that we should not simply draw conclusions from the state election and assume that this is what's going to happen in the national election.
Yeah.
Look at 2003, which resulted in 2004. The results were not replicated in the national election. So the simile of semi-final and final is not correct. At the same time, we have this new situation in national politics. Mr. Narendra Modi is coming up. There is supposed to be a Modi versus Rahul Gandhi contest. And this particular site, although it was not a very representative site, but do remember these are Congress versus BJP states.
Yeah.
So in a sense, if you picked something about Modi versus Rahul here, that would be interesting. To my mind, this is where the significance of Delhi lies. Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan were contestations about substitution. Do you substitute A party by B or B by A? Delhi was one place where those who wanted change had a choice within change. They could have a substitute from given within the establishment, which is the BJP, or they could have an alternative from outside the political establishment, which was the Aam Aadmi Party. So in some ways, Delhi's result, in a very limited way, would indicate whether people want substitute or they want an alternative.
Nirmala Sitharaman, one of the other things that is different about this election is that even though there are assembly elections, you have a declared prime ministerial candidate. The Congress does not. We de facto assume it is Rahul Gandhi, but nobody is willing to declare him as such. But the BJP, and there was a great debate within the party, should you declare Mr. Modi as the PM candidate after the assembly elections or before? You settled on declaring him before. Do you not think it is inevitable that whether the BJP does well or whether the BJP doesn't do as well as it would have hoped, it will be either seen as a Modi effect or no Modi effect?
No, it will definitely be seen as somewhat. You know, along with the state issues, the impact of Modi ji cannot be ignored. His campaign, his announcement as a prime ministerial candidate will all have a certain bearing.
But you remember Karnataka results when people said, look, BJP lost, which means there's no Modi effect. So suppose something similar, suppose there's a defeat in a particular state where you'd hope to win. There will be people who will say, see, the Modi effect was overstated. Or if there's a very good performance for the BJP, they'll say it's the Modi effect. So how do you read the Modi effect in connection to these elections?
I would read it as he's actually consolidating the mood which is existing in the country of wanting a change, removing the Congress-led UPA, and therefore his entire rally and campaign strategy and the way in which it's going forward and the mass groundswell that you see are all reflective of the mood which is getting consolidated.
Okay.
And therefore that will to that extent have a bearing on the 4 or 5 state elections.
KC Tyagi, do you agree that whatever happens, you can't divorce the national mood? जो भी होगा, एक तरह से पूरी तरह से आपको ये नहीं बताता कि 2014 में क्या होगा, लेकिन इशारों में कुछ तो बताता है, कुछ हिंट तो देता है. आप मानेंगे त्यागी साहब?
एक तो बरखा मुझको 70s का याद आ रहा है जब कांग्रेस पार्टी खत्म हो गई थी और इंदिरा कांग्रेस हो गई थी.
अच्छा. तो
बीजेपी खत्म हो गई इस बार और ये मोदी पार्टी का जन्म हो गया. दूसरा ये जो एंटी कांग्रेस एंटी सरकार जो रुझान थे वो कांग्रेस और बीजेपी में अटते बटते रहते हैं हर बार. जो तीसरी ताकत है जो गैर कांग्रेसी गैर भाजपाई दल है उसके जो राज्यों के नेता हैं उनकी जो एफिशिएंसी है, उनकी जो क्रेडिबिलिटी है, उनकी जो रेस्पेक्टेबिलिटी है, उनका इम्तिहान होना अभी बाकी है. योगेंद्र यादव ठीक कह रहे थे कांग्रेस गई बीजेपी आई कांग्रेस गई. तो ये जो दो पार्टियों के बीच में जनता को कुछ चुनने के लिए नहीं बचता है. तो मैं योगेंद्र यादव जी से कहना चाह रहा हूं कि उनके जो धरने हो रहे थे, जैसे कायरा का तहरीर चौक है, उसके अंदाज में वो सारी समस्याओं का समाधान संसद से बाहर निकालते थे, उनको भी संसद की सर्वोच्चता को स्वीकार करना पड़ा. ये लोकतंत्र की तीसरी जीत है और इन चुनाव का देश की राजनीति में कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, चाहे 2-2 हो जाए चाहे 4-0 हो जाए. असली इम्तिहान तो जो राज्यों के ताकतवर नेता है.
त्यागी साहब, ये बीजेपी ये चुनाव लड़ रही है एक प्राइम मिनिस्टीरियल कैंडिडेट को डिक्लेयर करते हुए. राहुल गांधी का पिछले 2 हफ्तों में कोई नामो निशान नहीं है. ये कैसे हम एकदम से अलग देखें फ्रॉम नेशनल पॉलिटिक्स?
इसको बरखा इस रूप में देखिए कि राज्यों के जो नेताओं के जो राज्यों के जो प्राइड हैं, जो सब नेशनलिज्म है, कलिंगा प्राइड है, बिहारी प्राइड है, बंगाल का भद्रलोक का प्राइड है, तेलुगु बिट्टा है, उनसे जब मुकाबला होगा मोदी जी का, तब पता लगेगा कि कौन सा फॉर्मूला चलता है। गुजरात का फॉर्मूला चलता है कि नवीन पटनायक का चलता है कि नीतीश कुमार का चलता है कि ममता दीदी का चलता है कि अम्मा का चलता है कि तेलुगु बिट्टा का चलता है। तो पहली बार सब नेशनलिज्म में और नेशनलिज्म के बीच में चुनाव होगा और तब असली फाइनल देखा जाएगा कि कौन सी ताकत जीतती है जी। क्योंकि उन ताकतों को तो अपने आप को रिप्रेजेंट करने का इन चुनाव में मौका ही नहीं मिला।
Randeep Surjewala, may I get you briefly? And Sunil Alagh, I know you're waiting. Give me half a second. Randeep Surjewala, many people have wondered where Rahul Gandhi has been in the last leg of this campaign. We saw him in the States. We saw him initially in Delhi. And then we just haven't seen him. It's either as if he lost interest or because of the thinning numbers at the Delhi rallies, he decided to keep away. Is there a disassociation happening between Rahul Gandhi and the results of these elections for the Congress?
I don't think so. It is. I think it's very unfair. It's not correct at all. Mr. Rahul Gandhi was one person who campaigned extensively in all the states. He campaigned extensively in Rajasthan. He campaigned extensively in Chhattisgarh, in Madhya Pradesh, and he campaigned in Delhi wherever there was a requirement. In last few days, if you have noted, I don't think so the media gave it enough coverage. Many of the Congress chief ministers, the Haryana chief minister was there, our chief minister from Kerala was there, chief minister Maharashtra came and chipped in, and many other regional leaders from across the country of the Congress party came in and stood alongside Mrs. Dixit as far as Delhi was concerned, considering that Delhi, has so many cultures, shades, languages, and regional divides. So to say that Mr. Rahul Gandhi was not in the campaign, I think he led the campaign from the front, and he led it ably.
Yogendra, you wanted to make a point, and then I'll go to Sunil.
I said I wanted to leave, but before leaving, I just wanted to say one thing, that whatever the result, and this is not for me to presumptuous about what the result would be, and it's only a matter of a couple of days now. But I would like my panelists to concede one thing, and this is one thing I felt from heart, that the entry of Aam Aadmi Party had done two things. One, strengthen or deepen the participatory impulse in democracy. And second, restore, bring back voluntary character of politics instead of paid workers, professional image makers, and so on. You had that fresh air, whatever the result. That's good news for democracy.
Before you leave, Yogendra, I want to ask you one last question. Arvind Kejriwal, do you think he took a risk by contesting against Sheila Dikshit? Are you confident that he will win his own seat? And secondly, does the Aam Aadmi Party stick to Arvind Kejriwal's assertion that your party will win 47 seats in Delhi? That's the precise number he gave me.
About the number of seats, we made our own poll forecast. Arvind Kejriwal had his own prediction right from the beginning, but we made evidence-based projections at different stages of time, and that game is over. Now the reality is to come. Whatever comes, we would salute that. I tried to be honest. How
many seats would you give your party? How many seats would you give your party now that all the cards are on the table?
I have no fresh information from today. I simply had fifth round of data on the basis of which we have given the projections, which is to say minimum 38, maximum up to 50. We think there is a wave. We'll see that. And I think we would definitely stand by what the party has said. And I wanted to now take the game beyond the number games. We'll accept whatever the verdict is. And the larger question is, does it make a difference to the quality of politics? That's what we might wish to discuss.
Well, thanks Yogendra. We're continuing with our discussion. The first poll results are coming in, and the ABP Nielsen poll for Delhi is projecting 18 for the Congress, 32 for the BJP, 18 for the Aam Aadmi Party. The C voter poll is projecting 21 for the Congress, 29 for the BJP, and 16 for the Aam Aadmi Party. Sunil Alagh, before I take it back to the politicians, did everybody underestimate the Aam Aadmi Party? If these polls are correct?
I don't think anybody underestimated it. I had said this earlier in a program. that look, when the Pakistani election was taking place, Imran Khan had created the same aura, the same drama, the same media that he was going to sweep the elections, and then Nawaz Sharif won. So I was saying, is Aam Aadmi going the Imran Khan way, or are they really creating a new base? And that's the point I made. I wasn't too sure where it was going, and I don't think, as far as I'm concerned, if you ask me, I think BJP has a problem in Chhattisgarh, where it is a 50-50. If you want my prediction, I'm not a politician, that's why I'm saying it. MP, Rajasthan, Delhi, they are going to be the #1 party. That's my prediction today.
But do you accept, Sunil, do you accept their argument that this has nothing to do with Modi and Rahul, or only partially to do with Modi and BJP's case?
Yes, correct. No, I said, look, Delhi is actually between Sheila Dikshit, Harshvardhan and Kejriwal. See, because if Modi has campaigned in all the 4 states, so what are you going to say? If he wins in MP and he wins in Rajasthan and loses in Delhi, do you say it's an anti-Modi wave or it's a pro-Modi wave? He has come as the party leader in all 4 states. Now what happens? Now if he gets a beating in all 4 states, you might say there's no Modi wave. But here it is, and more important, it's Kejriwal versus Sheila Dikshit. One of them is going to have a huge fallout. I mean, whoever wins. So the important thing right now, if I may just add, what you have to see about the Modi wave is the number of voters who vote for BJP. Even in states where BJP may not come across like Delhi, is there an increase in people voting for BJP? Then it means the Modi wave is on.
Okay, let me just get last comments now. Let me just get last comments from KC Tyagi and Nirmala and Randeep Surjewala. Tyagi sahab.
Barkha, one last quick point. Mr. Tyagi said about a third front. The third front is the most ridiculous idea of all. Mamata Banerjee doesn't send potatoes to Odisha. Odisha doesn't sell fish to Bengal. And these are the third party leaders. And Mulayam wants English band. Jayalalitha wants Hindi band. Where is this band of total lot when they'll ever get together, regardless of what happens in the states? There'll be a fight every morning if there's a third front between the leaders because they don't have a common program. That's one last point I want to bring to the attention of all the people.
Okay, Tyagi sir, my question is this. The polls coming in at the moment seem, some of the polls are predicting a hung assembly for Delhi. A hung assembly with the BJP as the single largest party. मेरा सवाल ये है केसी त्यागी कि ये भी बात चल रही है कि अगर हंग असेंबली हो जाए तो हो सकता है कि कांग्रेस, बसपा, जेडीयू जैसे पार्टीज के साथ, छोटी इंडिपेंडेंट्स के साथ मेलजोल कर एक सरकार बना सकती है। तो आपने अभी नॉन कांग्रेस नॉन बीजेपी की बात की, क्या ये बदल सकता है? क्योंकि बार बार चर्चा चलती है कि जेडीयू कांग्रेस के करीब आ रहा है।
देखिए, ऐसा है कि श्री नरेंद्र मोदी के नेतृत्व के सवाल पर हम भाजपा से अलग हुए थे
जी,
और वो सवाल अभी तक खड़ा हुआ है। हमारी इच्छाओं के विरुद्ध, हमारे कहने के बावजूद भी उन्होंने प्रधानमंत्री के उम्मीदवार के रूप में उसको प्रोजेक्ट कर दिया। एक तो बरखा, हमारी 3 या 4 सीटें दिल्ली में आ रही है, हमारा खाता खुल रहा है 91 के बाद पहली बार
जी, और
हम हर प्रयास करेंगे कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी सत्ता में ना आ पाए।
तो इसका मतलब कि उनको सत्ता में ना, एक मिनट, उनको सत्ता में ना आने के लिए आप कांग्रेस के साथ कुछ अंडरस्टैंडिंग कर सकते हैं, हाँ या ना?
नहीं, हम इशू बेस्ड समर्थन दे सकते हैं, लेकिन हम भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ नहीं बैठेंगे, ये तय है।
कांग्रेस को समर्थन दे सकते हैं,
हाँ,
और नेशनल बाहर से कांग्रेस को समर्थन दे सकते हैं। इज दिस एन इंडिकेशन केसी त्यागी ऑफ व्हाट्स गोइंग टू हैपन इन 2014? क्योंकि आप ही ने अभी थर्ड फ्रंट की बात की, लेकिन अभी आप ही कह रहे हैं कि आप कांग्रेस को सपोर्ट दे सकते हैं।
नहीं, नॉट नेसेसरी इन द लोकसभा इलेक्शन, नॉट नेसेसरी,
बट इन दिल्ली यू कुड।
यहां पर जैसे बिहार में उन्होंने हमारी पार्टी को बाहर से सरकार को समर्थन दिया, उसी तरह से बीजेपी को रोकने के लिए हम बाहर से समर्थन दे सकते हैं, लेकिन इसका लोकसभा चुनाव के पर्सपेक्टिव से कोई वास्ता नहीं है।
बड़ी कंस्ट्रक्टिव पॉलिटिक्स कर रहे हैं जेडीयू,
है ना?
किसी को रोको, इसीलिए हमारे जो भी हो, आई विल गो अलोंग विद कांग्रेस against whom the very birth of the movement through which Shri Nitish Kumar came into political, recognition and
KC Tyagi, your party was founded on anti-congressism. इसके बारे में आप क्या कहेंगे? अब आप कह रहे हैं समर्थन दे सकते हैं, हंग असेंबली में समर्थन दे सकते हैं। निर्मला जी कहती हैं
हम बीजेपी के साथ नहीं जाएंगे। नहीं, अभी हमारी पार्टी ने कोई चीज तय नहीं की है,
जा सकते हैं,
लेकिन हम
कांग्रेस
नरेंद्र मोदी की नेतृत्व, हम नरेंद्र मोदी के नेतृत्व वाली भारतीय जनता पार्टी को नहीं छुएंगे, नहीं छुएंगे, नहीं छुएंगे।
और कांग्रेस को
वो तो स्पष्ट कर रहे हैं, वो तो स्पष्ट कर रहे हैं। मैं आपसे सिर्फ ये बात पूछ रही हूं कि जो एंटी कांग्रेस मूवमेंट से पैदा हुए नीतीश कुमार जी आज कांग्रेस के साथ नेगेटिव पॉलिटिक्स करने के लिए जोड़ेंगे? What a sad constructive politics that you have come to.
What a sad, सीतारमन जी, what a sad
मैं पूछ रही हूँ आपसे,
that you forgetting the
आपसे पूछ
legacy of Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
Anti-Congress
you left no way for us.
We have to leave a
हमारे
no way
सामने
for
रास्ता
you.
क्या छोड़ा आपने?
हाँ, रास्ता हमने छोड़ना चाहिए आपको।
I respect Aam Aadmi for saying that if we are not there, we won't support BJP or Congress. I respect them for that.
Yeah, now Sunil, the point is, the point is KC Tyagi is saying, KC Tyagi is saying nationally छोड़िए, लेकिन दिल्ली में बीजेपी को रोकने के लिए अगर कांग्रेस को बाहर से समर्थन देना हो तो हम दे सकते हैं। Let me get the Congress and the BJP.
But just one thing here. If that is a strategy, just 5.5 months before the election, or even 3.5, 4 months before the national elections, I just wonder how they can make a, dichotomy between this and that.
I'll ask him that, but I want to ask you and Randeep your first reactions to these polls. The polls that are suggesting a hung assembly in Delhi with the BJP as the single largest party. Is that disappointing to you?
Let's wait and see for the final result. I will not respond on this poll.
But are you apprehensive?
The fact that we are the single largest, if at all that is true, itself is giving a message for Delhi.
But you have the Aam Aadmi Party on record saying we will support neither the BJP or the Congress. So this could lead to a very messy situation. And you could have, as you just heard from KC Tyagi, the Congress reaching out to independents, to smaller parties like the BSP and the JDU.
Well, to stay in power, even if they are voted out of power, Congress will do anything to get into power. So that is the natural philosophy of Congress, and even if they are voted out of power, they don't normally sit in the opposition quietly. They are the kind of party who will want to be in power anyway.
Randeep Surjewala, the polls are saying the Congress, the BJP is the single largest party, but it could be a hung assembly. Arvind Kejriwal is on record saying he won't support either of the two national parties. What happens now if these polls are correct?
Barkha, let's wait for the final outcome. We respect whatever are the exit polls principally that they are showing, and I understand the sudden fear and apprehensions of Nirmala ji, but people have already decided and the results would be out. There's one important point I want to make here. What Shri Tyagi was pointing out is actually the malady that BJP suffers from. Bharatiya Janata Party as a political party has ceased to exist. They have merged themselves completely, as one of your other panelists also said, into the personality of Shri Narendra Modi, and that is what they are undoing. That is what their undoing is going to be in 2014, because BJP has ceased to exist. It is Modi's BJP, and I think that is something that BJP needs to be very wary of. Not only in 2013 but also in 2014.
Modi ji is our leader, and we don't need to worry about our own leader.
One second.
But what
about the Indira Congress? When Congress ceased to exist and it became Indira Congress, did they stop? It became the leading party. So I mean, look at yourself internally before you make a comment on Modi.
No, and for us, Modi is our leader. We will definitely take pride in the kind of work he's done in Gujarat. But what Mr. Surjewala's comment really tells me is, earlier they said they were not going to take him seriously. Now their phobia has reached that far that they say there's no BJP, it's only Modi.
Okay, we leave it there.
So
these questions will, some of these questions will be answered on Sunday. The other questions will only be answered in 2014. We leave it there. Nirmala Sitharaman, Randeep Surjewala, Sunil Alagh, and before that, of course, Yugendra Yadav, KC Tyagi. Thanks for joining us on The Buck Stops Here.